We've got the solicitations in from DC for December, so let's walk through them together, see what's out there, see what you're interested in, what's changing. It's the kind of penultimate month before we get the new 2021 and DC. So this would be kind of a wrap-up month. Not a lot of new things starting, kind of a lot of just kind of holding position, a ton of $10 80-page specials. So let's get into it. Okay, well, it's that time of year, and it is December. We're coming up to the close of 2020. What a strange 2020 it's been. But we've got some solicitations from DC. Let's take a look through them. A lot of things going on. Nice to see these big iconic images. I always like these, by the way. I know that I can never get enough of them. I just wish the companies would just pump out more, especially that has kind of all the characters, kind of new and legacy. It's always pretty cool. But anyway, looking through the titles, a little bit of commentary, blah, 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 blah. Of course, Batman Catwoman #1. This is Tom King's long awaited. This was going to be the conclusion to his Batman run. Of course, what we've seen in this is that it is now out of continuity. It's an Elseworld story, but it is by Tom King, Clayman. Clayman does amazing work. The whole concept of this story has changed quite a bit, I would say, at least in how it was originally built. Maybe this was always what King had in mind, but now it's kind of 3 different timelines of Batman Catwoman's romance, when they first fell in love, the present, the future, with the daughter Helena. And it is, as the story begins after a long marriage, Bruce Wayne passes away, which frees Selina Kyle to settle an old score. And the Joker is in there, and Andrea Beaumont, aka Phantasm. So, it's going to be an interesting thing, but this is a, not Black Label. It is Black Label. What am I saying? But 1 of 12. So Tom King doing a Black Label comic. Curious how this all wraps up. This is going to be longer Black Label comics, but obviously, Tom King concluding his run. Some people liked it. Some people hated it. Batman Black and White. This is a continuing theme. I think it's going to play out throughout 2021 of Batman everywhere. Batman Black and White is a ensemble cast here. You've got James Tinney in the Forge, H. Williams, Paul Dini, Emma Rios, G. Willow Wilson, all doing stories, kind of an anthology series. And you're going to get a couple of these. As I recall, we're getting 6. It says right there. And it's going to have a number of different, different creators doing kind of iconic stories. Originally, the belief was that this was going to be digital, and I think those small stories will wind up as digital pieces at some point. But I also, from what I understand, this book is going to be, the stories inside of it are going to be used many other places, kind of for promotional stuff. So there you go. I did the video on Endless Winter, so I won't give too much time to this, but in case you didn't see it, it is a 9-part series. It's happening entirely in December. It's kind of a holiday-themed bit. It's got Andy Lanning and Ron Mars doing the writing, and just a number of different artists. This whole Endless Winter event really seems geared to bridging the gap between kind of storylines running to their conclusion and the end of Death Metal. So Death Metal expanded a bit, is what DC told us, and I suspect there was a gap kind of in scheduling, and this was how they filled the gap. Not unlike Convergence did several years ago. That's what this feels like. So we'll see. It's winter time, so we got some snow and everything else. Black Adam, it's nice to see him again. But showing up in The Flash, and, Superman in a special. This month, of course, we're getting the end of Bendis. We'll get to that in a moment. Aquaman doing a bit. I'm always bothered by how kids are drawn. The kids never look right. I'm just saying. I don't know. I have Miguel Mendoza, which is doing the art here. There's nothing inherently wrong about this artist. He's fine in what he does, but the kids always look weird. I'm just saying. Anyway, Justice League 58. Here's another title where the storyline is wrapping up. Aquaman's looking very chumpy in there. I'm just saying. Plus, he's got no shirt on. That's going to hurt him in the winter. Everybody else is getting their winter special gear on. Teen Titans Endless Winter special. This is a bit of a surprise. Note no Damian, of course, in keeping with kind of current storylines. Curious what they do with Crush. Justice League Dark. Black Adam. Again, nice to see Black Adam. I think we're going to see a lot more Black Adam, of course, as the Rock's movie comes out. Hey, there looks, look at that. And then, of course, it caps off with Endless Winter #2, right at the end of the month, 12/29. The Justice League must fight the Frost King, and there will be some snow and probably some puns. And the issue is snow-packed with characters. Anyway, then we get this Generation Shattered #1. These are stories that had been done in prep for the Generation series. Now, we were supposed to get 4 kind of, or actually maybe it's 5, Generation comics with stories just kind of throughout the DC history, leading up to the conclusion of Death Metal and then the mini series event that 5G was going to be. These are some stories that were already in the bag, by some decent people. I mean, Dan Jurgens, Andy Schmidt, Robert Venditti, some pretty nice talent on these things. And so it makes sense, rather than kind of, throw the work away, these comics are done. We get this one shot here, which is $10, 80 pages, so fitting with DC's other format, getting a couple things going. Then we have a couple Death Metal tie-ins. So Death Metal Secret Origin #1, that's a nice cover. This is Scott Snyder and Jeff Johns working together with the DCU's darkest secrets explored while two titans clash. Heroes search for a way to defeat the darkest night through the universe's past, while Superboy Prime faces down the demonic Batman. So, Secret Origin, nice callback. Nice to see Jeff Johns here. I suspect that this title is going to bridge the gap between some of the different storylines that have been floating around with Doomsday Clock and just kind of all the different pieces that Johns has contributed and Snyder has contributed. This feels like a way to kind of tie all these pieces together. Then we get Dark Knight's Death Metal's last stories of the DC universe. So here we get, it's a nice iconic kind of Titans bit. These are a number of stories. This got Scott Snyder, James Tynion, Joshua Williamson, Mark Waid. This name has got everybody triggered. Gail Simone, yeah, a little bit her too. Mariko Tamaki, Jeff Lemire, Cecil Castellucci, and Christopher Selbia. The last battle against Batman Who Laughs at Hand, the final fight for everything in the universe. While the night is usually darkest just before dawn, what would be the last thing you'd do if you weren't sure the dawn would ever arrive? So this is kind of the heroes in their waning hours. What will this be? 80 pages, 9 ducks, a bunch of short stories. Again, DC is really, for better or worse, I think they're overdoing it, but they've got these $10-ish anthology books, the anniversary issues that have just performed really, really well for them. So not surprised to see them doing more, certainly. And then the final 2 issues, we got Dark Knight's Death Metal #6, Bat Dinosaur, sure. What's going on? The battle rages as the entire DC universe stands against the darkest night. Villains fight alongside heroes, working as one to banish this demon from the deepest corners of the Dark Multiverse. Meanwhile, the Robin King lurks nearby, his army of groblins. Groblins? Okay. The dogs were loose and no one is safe. All right. Sure. And I mean, Death Metal is fun. It's an interesting jam series. I think the interesting part about Death Metal is that I think if we look at it like 5 years from now, I think we'll appreciate it a little bit more. Sandwiched between all the things going on in 2020 and DC going through its massive changes and the uncertainty and the unknowns, it has it's taken on a new life that I think is a bit unfair to the comic itself. And it just, it's a shame a little bit of what's happened. Yeah, you get a little Swamp Thing action there. That's nice. All right, Death Metal the last 52, War of the Multiverses. I love these. Again, I love these jam shots. I just absolutely do. Anyway, again, more combos. Scott Snyder, Josh Williamson, Mags Visaggio, triggers people. James Tynion IV, Kyle Higgins, Marguerite Bennett, Matt Rosenberg. That's a name that's interesting to see showing up here. I hear that he's going to be showing up more at DC, but we'll see. Justin Jordan, Regine Sawyer, and Shea Grayson. Yeah, I mean, again, it's what would it take to get every being left in the multiverse side together against the ultimate showdown, total decimation, the complete undoing of all existence. These look like kind of big jam fight books. Again, it's a one shot, $8.99. Death Metal's going to cost you some money in December. I mean, that's the other factor. All this, it's expensive. You got a bunch of $9, $10 books kind of showing up there right at the end. It's definitely up. I mean, you look at kind of this month, you've got an extra 25 odd bucks going into this stuff. I don't know. Actually, how much was Secret Origins? Now I got to go back. Yeah, $5.99. So 26 bucks basically added with these jam issues. But anyway, epic battle book. details every side. So I mean, definitely it's leading up to a giant conclusion. What happens to Perpetua in all this? I don't know. And then finally, Death Metal #7 ends January 5th. A little bit of a cheat there. It's supposed to be for December, but this is January 5th. And this is, hey, it's Jay Lee. He's still getting work despite being against Tom King. That's good news. Anyway, the song remains anything but the same as the house lights start to come up on DC's biggest, baddest control for the multiverse. The Darkest Night is on the verge of ending this concert. Oh, God, the rock analogies. Wonder Woman has more than a greatest hit planned. Extra size finale, 48 pages. That's nice. Didn't significantly raise the cost. I think they're all going for $5.99 at this point. Not one, but two mind-blowing epilogues that lead directly into the next phase of the DC universe. No fan will want to miss that. So I'll be just glad when we get to this point and we can start moving forward, which I think in the next 30 days or so, we're going to get a clear picture of what that's going to look like. But anyway, and then DC's Very Merry Multiverse by Tom King. Yeah, it's a good that he'd bring it. Whenever you think merry and cheerful, Tom King, it checks out. Anyway, another 80-page, $10 Joy to All 52 Worlds, holiday season across the DC, Ragman, oh Jesus, President Superman attempts to figure out how Bizarro stole Christmas. I'm not a fan of the holiday comics. I probably should be. They're good, campy fun sometimes, but anyway, that's what we got there. Then we get this Ginny Hicks special. This is from Mags Visaggio. It's a one-shot, and it is kind of spinning off from Young Justice and Ginny Hex. Ginny Hex, I'm going to say, I think has maybe the best chance of surviving with some of these new characters. I think it's different and unique enough that there's a chance. I think this has a better luck than kind of the new Green Lantern that was introduced. I think Ginny Hex has a better shot than Naomi and some of these others. There's something kind of organically fun you can do with Ginny Hex that I think has a chance. Mags Visaggio, I know that name the very mention of that name drives people up the wall. You can roll that out and people are kind of, it's funny because people use the triggered GIF, that GIF to usually indicate, one side, but you see the other side get really triggered by Wade and Visaggio. Those two names just immediately. I think that Visaggio is interesting because the Eternity Girl comic was not bad. It sold decently in the shop. It was profitable. Didn't sell a lot. I think in terms of if you're saying that she should be like running, an ongoing title or some major event, of course not. She doesn't have the sales to back that up. But in terms of one shots, we'll see. I mean, the trick here is like $5 one shot Ginny Hex with all this other stuff going on. As a retailer, I struggle. I'm just saying I wouldn't. It's just a lot to ask of your customers at the end of the year with everything going on. You've got a giant event coming up. You've added close to $30 of more comics there. A bunch of other $9.90, $10 one shots. You've got the Tom King thing started and everything else. It just timing wise, I don't know. But then more. Tales from the Dark Multiverse #1, Crisis on Infinite Earths. This did really well back in the day. Back in the day, like less than 8 years ago. These Tales of the Dark Multiverse books sold well. So we've got a couple more. Here's one by Steve Orlando. Here is Tales of the Dark Multiverse Metal. Why we need a Tales of the Dark Multiverse Metal, which is a dark take on the dark take of the last event. I'm not sure. There's something very, very meta there. What if they failed? Okay, this Tales of the Dark Multiverse are DC's What If. That's what these are. But we got a couple of them. Here's War of the Gods. Yeah, not a lot of people remember that event. That was a fun little event back in the day. And this is by Vita Ayala, which is yet another, I think, name that a lot of people get hit on. My comment is this: I will happily say, next year, oh my God, DC is tilted all in on on some of these creators. If we see them getting ongoing work. But while they're doing these one shots in a time where DC is pivoting to whatever they're going to do next, I mean, I don't think that's as indicative of things as people make it out to be. So I'm not saying, hey, just smile, everything will be fine. I'm saying it just put things in their proper context. I think some of these names, like Mark Waid is doing a short story in an anthology book of a bunch of stories. People are treating that like he's been announced the new general manager of DC. It's just in some context, folks. And then who knows? Maybe this stuff all grows and they all have ongoing titles and who knows? But again, it's a little early to say. Moving away from all the Dark Multiverse death metal, we get Sean Gordon Murphy's Batman White Knight presents Harley Quinn, #3. That is a cute kid riding a hyena. Oh, two cute kids. That is cute. I can appreciate that. Anyway, written by Katana Collins, Sean Gordon Murphy as well, involved Matteo Scalera. I'm a big fan of Matteo Scalera, so I'm anxious to see what he can do on this. I think that style fits absolutely perfectly with White Knight, so I'm anxious to see how that goes. Meanwhile, Batman 104, James Tynion continues his run, and this is all about Ghostmaker and Clown Hunter and some of the new characters that James Tynion has introduced. Harley Quinn's still around. It makes sense. She doesn't have a real ongoing title right now, so it makes sense that she's in here. And I think in context of all the Joker stuff going on, but there you go. But that's turning into a nice solid run. Batman 105, it's more of the same. We've got Ghostmaker, we've got Clown Hunter. The fate of Gotham City hang in the balance, as you know, as it does. And then Batman Annual #5, more with Clown Hunter. The breakout star. I don't know if a breakout star is the way you want to go this, but how are these characters going to show up and evolve? Like I said, I think I said in another video, James Tynion is creating a lot of characters right now. Alongside some other people. Somebody pointed out correctly so, Carlo Paguilin, and we've got, it's not just James Tynion. He does have a team behind him, and it's important to recognize that. But a lot of characters are coming out of this run, which from everything I've heard is making DC very happy right now. Deceased Dead Planet. Trigon is out, and he's blowing stuff up, so that's good. Wonder Woman is got Deathstroke and looks like some angry animal creatures. It's okay. Mariko Tamaki, she likes her animals. Rafa Sandoval is here. Wonder Woman, Deathstroke, Maxwell Lord still involved. Etta Candy. Etta Candy looks really weird in this run. I'm just saying they're gone a little like you don't have to add all the things at once. You don't have to go with the shaved head and they just ease into it, man. Just lots of stuff. Mariko Tamaki's run was billed as being hellish, I think, by a lot of people before it happened, and it turns out that run's been, I won't say solid, but it has not lived up to people's nightmares, I think, and it makes you wonder a little bit what's going on at Marvel. If she can write just a reasonably solid run that fits the characters. Again, I'm a big fan of George Perez and even what John Byrne did on Wonder Woman. So this isn't like the best thing in the history of the universe, but it's not terrible. And I think you got to ask yourself what went on, what goes on at Marvel, where you get people like Tom Taylor who can turn in a perfectly reasonable Deceased, and now Tamaki turning in a decent Wonder Woman, and what went on with like X-Men Red and Wolverine and She-Hulk. It just makes you wonder. So more Wonder Woman. They're just double shipping the hell out of Wonder Woman right now. But the Maxwell Lord, Liar, lots of stuff going on. Strange Adventures kind of churns on. This is one of 3 books I believe Tom King has out this month. We saw Batcat earlier. This is 7 to 12. This book has lost some momentum. In from what I've heard from other people, it's in Miss Gerard's. They're doing stuff, but it's like. I'm wondering if the 12 issues is just a big nut to crack. The Mr. Miracle book had the same effect. It's like maybe 6 issues. You don't need to commit to the 12. At any rate, so we get number 7 and number 8. Again, two titles coming out because we're getting into some of January. American Vampire. Of course, at this point we're back. We're into number 3. Scott Snyder, Raphael Albuquerque. It's nice to see them working again. Here's that 3rd book from Tom King. This is our Rorschach, number 3, and there we go. From what I gather, this is, they keep saying this detective thriller. We haven't learned exactly who the detective is, but at least there's some hints that it's Batman, which would be strange. The 2nd issue is Sweet Tooth by Jeff Lemire. And then we're into some graphic novels. And I think there's the Nubia book that got everybody crazy until they realized that this was an existing character. This is where DC's own marketing screws them. They put this out and it's like, it's the Wonder Woman. It's like, No, she exists as a character. They didn't race swap Wonder Woman. This is a legitimate existing character in DC lore. You should have said that. Like, I don't know. Anyway, flashbacks. I mean, why does VR feel so real? I mean, all right. Oh wait, we're not. No, why do they do this? Okay, so now I've forgotten the end of Bendis. We have Action Comics 1028, the House of L stuff, the Powerhouse creative team. It doesn't look like we're going Authority with Superman. I mean, it felt like that was the next act that was being set up, but now Bendis ends his run in December, and so we're kind of getting a wrap up of all the characters in the House of Kent coming out. House of Kent, not House of L. So all the different pieces, and then over in Superman 28, we get Superman flying Lois into the higher level of atmosphere, which would completely asphyxiate and kill her, but he doesn't care. He's just smiling. Anyway, Bendis, Ivan Rice has been doing some great work on this title, but this is all about the Sinmar and kind of the deadly powers being aimed at the Earth, pushed past anything he's ever faced. It's a powerful moment. We'll see what happens for Superman in January. Batman Beyond number 50. This is the final issue of Batman Beyond by Dan Jurgens. This is. I suspect this will get relaunched as some media and some entertainment and some of the shows come out. But for now, it's done. Batman Superman number 15. Joshua Williamson. We've got Solomon Grundy. And this is this continues to be a decent sleeper title. If you read this, it's like there's some good stuff that's in here. Kind of sits under the radar. Batman: The Adventures Continue. Alan Burnett and Paul Dini. We've got the Batman Adventures here. It's just going to be more Batman. Catwoman number 28, which written by Ram. I think this is from what I've heard is ending, but maybe not. So please don't take that seriously until we get more final word. But Catwoman taking down the mob, crooked cops, etc. Introducing Catwoman and the Strays. You don't have to make a cat pun with everything, but anyway. So we got that going on. Detective Comics 1032. Peach Mossy, who here's hoping is heading towards Superman, but Batman, Damian Wayne, butting heads. This is kind of the fallout of what happened in Titans and kind of the disillusion between the two. And then in the next issue, we've got some more fallout kind of from the Batman, the Joker war. Looks like Hush is coming back into the picture. Anti-vigilante mayoral candidate Christopher Nakano is bringing new legislation. I mean, we're doing outlawed in Detective Comics, but still, could be some fun stuff. He's at a crossroads. It's not Vertigo, but why not? Black Label, we've got The Dreaming by G. Willow Wilson continues. This comic is all right. It's funny though. People try to really capture that spirit of original Vertigo and Sandman, and it's not bad. It just isn't. It isn't that kind of original feel. It always feels like if they just stop trying in some ways to capture that feel, they do a better job. Far Sector number 9. This is again a book out there, Black Label. Yeah, it's interesting because Far Sector is billed in some cases as YA. It's definitely not a YA book. So I mean, this is a book that needs, again, somebody to come in on the marketing side and kind of explain what it is. Even here, it's Black Label, 17 up. What are you doing with this book? Just identify it. Green Lantern Season 2. This is the conclusion to Morrison Sharp. The Ultra War begins. We've got 2 more issues in his run. So not the conclusion, but we're heading toward the conclusion. So getting to some interesting piece. 2 Green Lanterns, 2 Star Sapphires, all battle all the time. Hal Jordan's counterpart in the Ultra War. Again, love prevail. Why not? Hellblazer, Rise and Fall. This is Tom Taylor's book. First issue did quite well. So again, it goes to Tom Taylor, can write a decent character, and you got to put him in the right place. Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. This book, Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti, this is a solid book. This is Black Label again. It's funny because this represents another case where you had the movie come out, you've got this comic coming out late, there's been some scheduling, timing, and everything else, but this is a kind of fun little madcap adventure. It's decent. It's crazy. If you are a big fan historically of any of these characters, you're probably going to be upset by it. If you pick this up, it does have a different aspect to it. So it's a different take, but there you go. There's gonna be a lot of that in 2021, a lot of different takes. Last God is an excellent book, number 11, Philip Kennedy Johnson. Definitely recommend you pick this up. He's got more work coming from DC that is supposed to be a dream project. So anxious to see what that is. Legion of Superheroes, number 12. No word where this is going. Brian Michael Bendis is still on it. Battle for New Krypton. This could lead to a monumental new chapter in the future of the DC universe. I think it's going to lead to Bendis off the book. So I guess that would be maybe a monumental. It depends on if you like Bendis or not. But this book, I think, is wrapping itself up, but not quite yet. So Nightwing 77. He's back in the costume. No more craziness. But Christmas has come to Gotham City. That's always it's Christmas time. Red Hood number 52. Without now that the creative team has shifted, Sean Martinborough is on this book. It's definitely a more Red Hood focused title. We got Scooby-Doo, and then we got some more trade paperbacks. Is there more coming down here? Lots of omnibus titles. This is old Alan Grant, Norm Bayfogle. This is a fun Batman back in the day. Cold Vengeance, The Chalice. Okay, so I think we're done here. I think we're now into a lot of trade paperbacks and other pieces. So that is DC in a nutshell. We're going to get some more Earth 1 in 2021. That's been confirmed. So curious to see how those goes. There's Green Lantern by Jeff Johns, always fun. I think this is kind of the continual. I may be mistaken about this, but I think in this run you did have Ethan Van Sciver on Green Lantern. Of course, he's very well known with Green Lantern, but they don't credit him. So maybe I think he's others. We'll see. We'll see. The slow erasure. Comics are strange. Anyway, that is DC. Oh, Heroes in Crisis. What do we got here? The Price and other stories. Oh, so these are all the tie-ins to Heroes in Crisis. Yeah. I think it's weird that they're reprinting it because DC seems to want to just get away from this as fast as they can. Anyway, that's DC in December. What do you think? What are you picking up? What are you liking? That's what we can basically tell from it. Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. You certainly let me know what you like to see. Do you like these wrap-ups of what's going on in comics and reading through the solicitations? Let me know that too. I'll keep doing it if you do. But most importantly, thanks for listening.